Ladies and gentlemen of the class of '99, wear sunscreen.
I don't know if you can see, but yeah, I'm basically sporting a very impressive sunglasses tan. Entirely my fault. I was at my niece's birthday party today, which my sister decided to host at 9 AM on a Saturday morning, which for me is one of the few days that I actually get to lie in my bed for past 6 o'clock. And yeah, it was a little bit on the sunny side. I thought I was spending a lot of time in the shade, but clearly not. Hey everyone, it's Fraser from Quantum. I hope you're all having an amazing weekend, and I wanted to record this short video for you guys tonight to show you some of the things that we've been working on. Now, one of the first things I want to show you is part of our new map. The way we're building our first large-scale map is we're building it in sections, and we call this section the Refinery. We have a cool short video clip to show you guys, but before we get to that, let me show you how our team got to where we are now. So the way that our team works is we take elements of what we find in the real world and we apply it to the game environment that we're designing. So when we look at everything that the team is doing, they really have to think about how the map flows and the purpose of each of the buildings and each of the locations in the map. So when we start to think about the internal structures and the areas in which players will interact and where combat will occur, we really have to plan these out in detail. So one of the first stages that we have to do is design all the concept art that goes around this. This is where our concept artists really come to life. They're able to create environments just out of thin air, and then they develop the idea further. Here in this second shot, you're able to see we've started to add in some of the foliage to show the environment in which this map will be set in. In this third shot, what we're able to do here is add in more detail. We're able to start adding in some of the bits and bobs that are lying throughout the map, some broken down vehicles, more walls for defensible space, and more foliage. Again, this is just concept art, so this is done in Blender. Then once we've got the basic idea, we need to start fleshing out what the core structures of each of the buildings will look like. On the left-hand side, you have what this control tower will look like in its perfect condition, and then what we want it to actually look like in the game. This is the drill. So this is the center point of the map. As you can see, the drill is extremely heavily damaged, but it is still a playable space for the players to interact. Our concept artists really have to think these things through. How does the drill operate? Why is it there? What sort of damage has been done to it? Are these areas still accessible to the player? Then once we've got some of our structures together, we then need to combine them and see how they all work. How do the players move from one section to another? What are the areas of access? How do players exit from these positions? We really have to take everything into account. So this, you can see, is the full exterior superstructure from the center of the map. You've got the broken drill in the middle, and you've got the 3 separate control towers. Once we've got all our concept art and our ideas together, we place it all together on one sheet. Here we can see how everything is going to work and function, so we can take this from concept art into 3D assets. At this point, our team then start to develop the 3D assets that go into the map. You can see here there's players put in for size reference. Then they start to build out the central structure. We have to add every detail in and think about all those things that were in the concept art and really start to flesh it out. Here you can see the central structures which you saw in wireframe, which have been fleshed out a little bit more. At this point, we start adding in some of the exterior details into the map. So the dropship on the left, the broken down vehicles, the rubble, all these things have to come together to make it a complete playable space. Once we get to that point, we then put it back to the team. We put it back to everyone so we can have our input and put our thoughts of things we want to see on the map. Components such as storage units, solar panels, warehousing, landing platforms, paved areas, crashed vehicles, containers, vehicle hangars, piping, degraded and partially collapsed buildings, and nature really reclaiming the environment. Once we've done that, then we come back and we start to add in all those details that we spoke about as a team. Now, this is what the map originally started to look like once the buildings were being grey boxed out, and this is in 4.27.2. Each one of these images is just a slow progression of everything that the team was working on. You're able to start to see more detail come into the map with each individual image. You can see in this one, a player has been put in for scale. So you can see the full size of this huge building. Our team then slowly progresses, adding more and more detail into the area. Here's more of a wide shot. So you can see the pipework has started to be added into the map and some of the exterior buildings. And storage areas, landing areas, all of these small details that the team think about in great detail. Building a map like this takes a long time and a very keen eye. You can see the difference from one image to another. Small individual details really help to build out the full feel of the map. Then once we have most of the buildings grey boxed, we can start to add in foliage and detail into the environment. You can see how the building goes from looking brand new to looking degraded and dilapidated. Here was a concept that we were working with. We were toying with different ideas for the foliage. This one is much more dense. And in fairness, the final vision of this map will have a density not too dissimilar from this. We can't have players starting at one side of the map and then sniping their opponents on the other. We have to create obstacles. We have to create defensible space. We have to create areas that the players can move and interact while getting into the central building without coming under too much fire. But for me, one of the greatest things is seeing the whole thing come together. When we look at this one here, this is one of the original concepts from Randolph. Then we're able to see more of what this will look like when it's completely finished. And now, let me just show you a short clip of us walking down into the main complex. This is still a work in progress and there's a lot more things to happen, but please, enjoy. So as you can see, this map is really starting to come to life. There's a lot more work to happen. There's a lot more things that need to go into it. We need to make this map interactive. We need to make it feel like it's really coming alive. But you will see that in a future video. In one of the videos which is coming up soon, we're going to have more of a look at the Seeker themselves and how the designs have evolved over the last year and a half. It's exciting for me as well. This week, Magnus is coming out to join us for a couple of weeks in Dubai, which is going to be great. I've not spent a lot of time with him recently and it's going to be really good to catch up in person. We're also going to be filming some really good content together, so please keep an eye out for that as well. Anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in and thank you for watching. And again, our team is so grateful for all the support that we've had from you over the last 2 years almost. It's been a crazy ride, but it's only going to get more interesting. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.